Hey, my name is Crippy. Welcome to my channel. I like to make stuff. Grab a nice little hot cuppa or whatever is your preferred beverage and let's get into it. We are talking about everything that I made in 2025. This includes sewing, this includes knitting. And in 2025, I taught myself how to knit. That was my primary goal kind of the year in terms of my hobbies. Didn't do a lot of crocheting this past year because I was teaching myself how to knit, and I actually did a lot more sewing than I have in previous years, so that's absolutely a plus. I'm pretty happy about it, actually. Look at my little cat. That's S'mores in the back. We have a little rug over there that he likes to get pet. Anyways, let's jump into it. We're gonna start in the sewing category here today. If I'm not looking at the camera, it's because I got a little list that I got going on. So, and then all the images I will probably pop right here. We are starting off with New Look N6666. It is a cute, lovely little, I would say, spring summer dress. It's a maxi length. And I made it with some blue poly cotton gingham. Unfortunately, fabric choice was not the greatest during the summer because it's mostly polyester, and boy, am I sweaty, even though it has a little backless number on it. Super easy sew for the most part. I love the way that it came out. I did have to make a couple of adjustments. It is tight in the back, so I had to add an extra panel. It was a very side thought of me to do that adjustment. So unfortunately, it doesn't look super great from the back, but here it is. I think it still looks pretty cute regardless. Front looks amazing, stunning, has pockets, has a little tie up at the back and the top of the back. So you know where your bra strap normally goes, you have a little tie there, has a little crisscross, and then I made another tie at the waist section. I think there was originally an invisible zipper there, so we switched it out for a tie. Not my favorite adjustment that I've made to stuff. Would look great if I chose the correct size for my waist. Unfortunately, with a lot of these sewing patterns, I am not the correct, not that I'm not the correct size, but I have to do a lot of adjustments. So it's not always choose one size for top and bottom and be done with it. It's always I gotta choose the smaller size for the top and then grade it out into the larger size in the bottom, and that's just how my body is. So whatever. I make it again. Yes. Is it my favorite make of 2025 in my sewing category? I would say no, but maybe I'll rank it. Alrighty, and up next is the McCalls 8383. It is a knit dress sewing pattern with a slit up the side and a little fun design detail in the back, which is a nice little cutout hole. Brown sparkly fabric. Where did I get it from? I think I got it off of Fabric Mart, fabrics.com. I've been using them for a while, even before Joanne went out of business. I love their dead stock. 10 out of 10. Love buying from them all the time. I think they're located in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia. It's one of the P's. I'll correct this in post. Same issue per my usual sewing issues is top fits, bottom does not fit, bottom too fat, bottom too thick and juicy, steak too juicy, lobster too buttery, But anyways, had to grade it out. Took a couple iterations because even with my fashion design background, I don't really know how to grade super properly. I tried to smooth it out and it was just a hot mess after hot mess, and I'm not used to working with sewing with knits all that much unless we're just oversized boxy cut and like bodycons. Bodycons are rough for me, dude. Like, I don't know what it is about like tight fitting clothes that are like one piece, that are dresses, that I don't vibe with. But this turned out lovely, you know. Like, I had so many doubts sewing this project. Because it was like the first one in a really long time, and I was like, oh, it's a knit dress, it'll be super easy. I got some stretchy fabric, it'll just stretch over me. And I had all this pooling around my hips and it looked really bad, and I was like, I'm gonna give up. I kept trying to like adjust the hips, which is where I normally have my problems in terms of fitting hips. I kept trying, and finally, like, we got it to a place that like it was starting to fit properly. And then up came like the next issue, which was I was going rogue with the back detail. I didn't like the extra fabric collar that they had. What I was saying was, I don't love the extra collar bands. I don't remember if I did keep those collar bands on. We'll just roll the clip or the pictures. Yeah, I haven't looked at my dress in a hot second. I also haven't worn it out, but I think this would look like a super cute going out. It's a dinner dress, 10 out of 10 fabric. Love it. Would buy again. I would say it's not a classic knit fabric. I think it is interlock. I might be wrong. I also, like, once Fabric Mart Fabrics is sold out of their dead stock fabric, like, the page is gone, information is gone. I didn't save the tag that it came with, so shit out of luck. Anyways, favorite make. Would I make it again? Yes. Maybe in a different fabric. Maybe one that stretches more, because maybe that's my issue, is because they had accounted for a lot of the ease stuff, but like since my fabric didn't have like a 2x stretch, that like it almost acted like it was a woven with spandex. Maybe that was my problem. Maybe it was a fabric choice problem. So let's leave it at that. Would make it, yeah, like I said, would make again. Not my favorite make, mostly hurdles on my part, my issue, so somewhere in there we have it ranked. Next up is the McCalls M7740. I made this with a blue satin jacquard polyester that I got from Joann's before it closed. RIP Joann's, I miss you. I made it in view B, which has a little like fabric tie in the back, not like skinny ties, it's like a sachet. I don't like to line a lot of my stuff because, one, I'm lazy, and two, I'm lazy. Oops, really saying stuff about myself. The material, 10 out of 10, worked really well. Actually, looks beautiful. Pattern, not that hard to follow. Would I make it again? I don't think so. Like, I think making it, well, okay, so there's this other view, C and D, that I'll show here. It's got little like butterfly sleeves, and I think those are like super cute. So maybe if I need a dress to go to like a spring wedding or something, or you need to make it longer, I would also like to make it longer. I've been having a moment with like longer skirts and dresses, then maybe, but as of right now, I have not a huge need to put this dress, another one of these dresses, into my wardrobe for wearing. And before I started thinking about all things I was making for 2025, I wasn't being super picky about like the pieces I wanted to introduce to my wardrobe. And so I haven't worn this dress out, actually. Thinking this dress I made, I haven't worn out. The brown one I made, I went out like one time, like casually, pop a little like shirt jacket over it, and like a cute little grungy brown one with some boots like that. Anyways, pretty pattern, not bad pattern. If you haven't lined stuff, do I think you need lining? I think probably okay with not doing it, but if it's like satin, that's working, then yeah, I just lined it with itself fabric. Just use the same fabric line. The fabric itself. Didn't know issues. Normally a lot of people say, oh, satin, just bring satin. Like, that's mine, personally. Also, was it my favorite pattern of the sewing category? Also, no. Like, there's so many better ones, actually. Onto the next pattern. We made 2 Plumeria blouses from Paradise Patterns. Love. 10 out of 10. I'm gonna say it from the jump start, like, would make again. Patterns fire. I did make 2. I made 2. Like, I made a sample one, and then I made it with like one that I actually wanted to do with. Fabric choice, on my part. For the one that I actually made, my toil is a wearable toil. I got that fabric from Pendleton Woolen Mills down in Oregon. We drove down there for like Labor Day last year, and I was able to like make it right before I think fall was wrapping up into winter. Fabric 10 out of 10. If I could go back to Pendleton and get more of it, I would. It is a lovely, I believe, wool nylon spandex combination. Spandex is like maybe 2 or 3%, so it's got like a nice little ease in a woven fabric that you don't normally see with just straight cottons, polyesters, what have you. Was one of my favorite makes this year. Would I make it again? Now that I have 2 of them in my wardrobe, I think I would make it maybe like one more time, maybe in one of the other views, because I made, I believe, view B. View B is super cute. I can see this being like a cute layering piece as well in view B if you make it like really long, maybe something sheer like a chiffon. Yeah, I think it would be super cute. Definitely my top 3 here. On to next pattern, from Oh Me Oh My. It is the pepper dress and top pattern, and I made this with the Pendleton wool fabric. I made this one first before I made the Plumeria blouse. Anyways, made this one. Love. I wear it all the time. I look like a little prairie girl. Super duper cute. Only thing, it like doesn't have pockets. It has side seams, so you can definitely modify the pattern to have side pockets and or patch pockets on the front. Did not do. I wanted to follow the pattern all the way through, and big mistake for me was not having pockets. Unfortunately, I am a small busted gal, so that means I had to adjust the boob cups. The boobs, there was too much fabric for me, so I had to adjust it for a smaller cup. Favorite make? Hell freaking yes. Would I make it again? Also yes. Top 3 in favorite makes of 2025 for sewing up here, and this takes place in number 2 actually, because like I wear it pretty often. So last pattern is the Gladys top by Stitch Witch Patterns. It is a cute little princess seam top with side ties. I haven't worked princess seams in a really long time, and I figured, I might as well challenge myself. How hard could it be, so I could, use this as like a base pattern for modifying my other makes. It was a freaking breeze, actually. I love this pattern. I only got to make one. It was my toil for like just to try the pattern out, just to see if I needed to make any modifications for it or anything at all. I don't have to make any modifications. It's beautiful. I made it with some leftover fabric. Don't know where it's from. I think I actually got it from my friend. It was like 100% cotton. It was like this cute little mini red gingham check. The only thing that I would change on this that you could probably see here is the lengths of my ties. I had hilariously not cut the right amount of ribbon on each side, so one has a lot and the other one has whatever I had left, and it really didn't, it was a choice. I can't wait for summer. I can't wait for summer to come back around so I can wear this one. I am 100% gonna make another one. When? I don't know. Would I make it again? 100%. Is it my favorite pattern of sewing? 1000%, because I would wear it so often. I think the only modification that I would do is for the side ties, don't use like actual non-elastic like ribbon ties for them, because if you switch it out for, I don't know, you could probably use like elastic shoelaces. On to my next couple of makes in 2025 in my sewing category. I have my self-drafted tank top. I had some leftover just base cotton jersey knit fabric. This year I was hired to work from home. Hell yeah. So I was able to wear whatever I wanted. It was super hot. I needed a couple more tank tops that weren't just spaghetti straps, that, you know, looked moderately work appropriate. So boat necks that they were. And I just self-drafted this one. I have a little mannequin that I picked up this year as well. Great, 10 out of 10. And after this boat neck top, I had some fabric that I got from Pike's Place in our fabric stash, about 1.5 yards of some polyester crinkle knit fabric that I got when my girlfriends were here visiting me. Self-drafted that, made a little skirt with the extra fabric here. Would I make again? I mean, I made it twice, but I would make it again. I kind of want to do like a boat neck long sleeve top. Would have been great for winter. I mean, I could probably still make it, but I'm just like not in the sewing mood right now. And last one of all is my thrift flip. It's supposed to, I think it's called a furoshiki. I mean, excuse me, let me double check. So it is called a furoshiki, which is a square cloth. They use it to wrap like bento boxes and or other miscellaneous items. Looks like gifts and bottles and clothes. Like, it makes a cute little holding thing. I found it at my local thrift shop and I decided I was gonna make a top of it because it was super cute. It had like this nice beautiful crane on it with like the sun. The sun mostly got cut off, but I was able to preserve a lot of the cranes on there. Here it is. I self-drafted. I wish I had made it differently. Not my favorite make of 2025 in the sewing category, probably like last. Took me a long time to figure out how I was gonna sew it, and then also it doesn't fit amazing. I wish I had put a second set of darts by the shoulders to mimic a princess seam, other than just taking all of the extra fabric into a lower dart underneath the bust. It doesn't give the same shaping as would, you know, two different sets of darts from the top and the bottom to fit around the curvature of the bust. I find that I have to tighten the back really tight due to the nature of the make. I have no plans of making it again, but what I would do is, if I found more furoshiki that, you know, maybe a bit more pattern, that I wasn't trying to preserve the print of it so much, like the cranes, because I was like really hell-bent on preserving those features of the fabric, then I would probably just use Stitch Witch patterns, the Gladys top, and I'd get the same thing, because like, it's just a lace-up back. Like, why would you not just, I mean, you could just use whatever other fabric on the back if you just wanted to use your furoshiki as like the main fabric component, and then just, you know, whatever side ties, blah 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 blah. Anyways, that wraps it up for my sewing category, we are in my knitting category for everything I made in 2025. So let's start there. This is the sweater. It is the Clara bulky Raglan sweater by Ailbiona McLochlainn. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I made it with a Cascade 128 Superwash, the hand paints version with the I think the color number is like 705. It was like foggy morning. I used about 10 skeins or so. I got them from Ben Franklin over by my nearest town. Great pattern, actually. I don't think I could have asked for more from a pattern as a beginner. Mind you, this was like the third time I've restarted it and or was on third projects, so I actually had already learned a lot of the Raglan techniques that you would be making. Make one left, make one right. This one did feature a back yoke shapings that I learned here, which actually ended up being super duper great. Love that, and it fits my partner so well. Favorite make? Hell yeah. Yarn? Absolutely. And it is a top down, which I have learned very quickly in 2025 that those are some of my favorite patterns, just because I don't like working from the bottom up. Also, it's because I'm short torsoed that like I can definitely kind of adjust and know where the top lies, and then I can just make it however long I want. 10 out of 10, 100 would make this sweater again. I would also use this yarn again. I will probably also rank knitting here. Have a little list. Anyways, so on to the next is the actual first knitting item that I finished in my knitting journey. It is the Summer Lotus blouse. It is a Hobbii pattern for free. I used some Hobbii Twister Solid extra large, so a slightly larger gauge. I used green. I think I used about either 2 or 3 skeins for this. This one I learned the make one left, make one right here. There's no shaping for it because the original pattern suggested yarn is a, what do you call it? Mohair. This is just a very light mohair overlay type sweater, and I made it in cotton with a little bit of acrylic in it, so the drape is very different. It actually turned out to be a little bit more fitted than probably was what it's supposed to be, but also I did not give a so it's kind of a cute see-through, like meshy spring summer. Wear a little bralette or top underneath it, and then I modified it to, I know on my first pattern I was like, I'm gonna modify this. I wanted flare sleeves, so I gave myself a little bit of bell sleeves, and then we did some I-cord edging all around to finish up the pattern. 10 out of 10. Love this pattern. I would make it again. Maybe choose a different yarn for it. I think if I make it true to what it wants on the pattern, I wouldn't have to really shape it all that much. Like I said, I'm a small busted gal. It doesn't affect fit that much, but it does tend to like ride up a little bit in the front. I think it is a very small neck hole, so if you don't like tighter fitting stuff, maybe don't choose that one. Not in my top 3, but somewhere here on the list. Let's move on to the next one. The next one we have up is the Call Me Back sweater. Very ambitious. I think I was itching to cast on, so I just finished like my Summer Lotus. I had restarted my partner's sweater. I think I was like getting midway through it, and I needed to work on something else, so we started the Call Me Back sweater. I had previously bought a lot of these yarns for crochet projects that I just, where are they now? and I didn't do them yet. So I was like, oh yeah, I have the recommended yarn and amount for this pattern that I also got off of Hobbii. Call Me Back sweater, made by Unlucky Knits. Suggested yarn is it's called Metallico at Hobbii. They also have the same make of yarn, but it's called Pearly Haze. Yeah, I think it's called the Pearly Haze line. Which is so the difference between the metallic and the colors. So a lot of metallic is very like metallic chrome. The one I have is like a very bronzy deep with the like fibers in it, and like the chainette that holds up the bone fibers is like brown and silvery. Versus it's the one I actually made here. The one is purple bone fibers with like silvery chainette in between, holding all fibers together. This is really like same weight, same make, pretty much. Just otherwise. Relatively easy pattern to make. I do believe. I don't remember if it does have German short rows. I don't think it has a whole lot of shaping. If I remember correctly, mostly it's because you have that gigantic hole in the back, and I chose to do half back instead of the whole back because you end up working back and forth a lot until you join in the round at the bottom. I ultimately kind of effed this one up because I did a little bit of a no-no. I threw this one in the wash thinking that I could throw this one in the wash, and I could not throw this one in the wash. So, pattern 10 out of 10. Great. Would make again. I'm considering doing it in the brown that I have. I think it's like an espresso color. I'll like list it here somewhere. And then I was able to salvage the purple one that I made. Don't love the collar situation. She asks you to, I think you make the collar, and then you have a purl row, and then you fold it over and sew it down. I just left it. I'm like, I don't like it. We just have like a little bit of a collar. I would maybe choose to do it in like almost even a looser gauge because it is quite tight, and I don't know if that is just the way that I chose to cast on or like it was the yarn choice, but like it was for the suggested yarn, but maybe I should have like sized up a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe when I do it for the second round, I'll kind of figure out what went wrong. I would make this one again. 10 out of 10. Actually deserves to be in really like the top 3. I think the back detail, apparently I had 2 circle back, open back situations going on, so she got me on like a little leash. Love the back detail. 10 out of 10. Love, 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 love. Top 3 favorites? Actually, makes it into top 3 at least. On to the next pattern I have. I wanted to start making something else. I was like, oh, I had a couple sweaters. I made a couple sweaters. I kind of want to switch it up and, make something else. And so we decided on the Elsa number 2 cardigan by Just Do Knits. Very cute, very classic cardigan. Actually is the one that I'm wearing currently right now. Hard to see because I'm wearing black on black. I did modify the pattern a little bit to do some arm shaping. Unfortunately, it came down a little bit too fast of a decrease on the sleeve. I don't know if you'll be able to see it here. No one else is gonna really notice it. I made it out of some leftover yarn that I had gotten from Hobbii, I think. And this one is super cute. I wish maybe it was a choice of the pattern. I could probably also make it in like a slightly smaller one if I wanted it to be more. This one is a bit oversized on me, a little boxy. It's not a problem. I definitely had to crop it like a whole lot because, like I said, short torso girly. I whizzed through this one pretty fast. I learned how to do German short rows, and love actually. It was very fun. I liked it a lot. Did not have a problem once I learned how to do the German short row shaping, and then everything else ended up being pretty fast. In this pattern, I also learned that I don't really like working in the flat, and I would prefer very much so to be working in the round. Unfortunately for me, this was acrylic yarn, so there's no options for like steeking, which maybe you could probably do as long as you just like sew it down. she had some pictures in the pattern for a lot of the techniques, especially around picking up stitches in the armhole. It makes like a slightly gusseted portion where you can kind of see all your decreases kind of come together like this. But like everything else, I think she calls for a different type of cast off, but I just did a regular cast off because I'm kind of lazy. But anyways, would make the cardigan again. Love the pattern. Would change the fabric. Yarn. Oh my god, yarn. Would change the yarn. Would prefer probably like a wool. I mean, I think it would look really cute as like a fluffy cardigan. So something more hairy, like a mohair combination. I find myself grabbing this one pretty often. I've been just grabbing it pretty recently, so I mean, definitely deserves to be in top 3. Got last 2 patterns here for knitting. I have the Essential Beanies by Andrea. I'm not gonna pronounce her last name correctly. I'll just pop her here. I have made this pattern 4 times this year in the span of about 2 or 3 months. I used Plumeria yarns Reply. It is my least favorite yarn that I've worked with this year. It was so squeaky, like it just would not glide over my knitting needles, and it felt awful. I wish I had chosen other yarn for it because I was like, ugh. Anyways, hated the yarn, love the pattern. Before those 3 beanies, I had made it one other time with the Hobbii Carnival acrylic yarn, which is like a single roving type yarn that I had left over from my mother-in-law's project. So she got that beanie for Christmas, but that one I held double with the Carnival. It was actually super duper easy, and for a reason like did not have the same problems as the other 3 beanies, the black and red ones that I was making. So in my head I was like, oh, anyways, that beanie was so easy that I was like, oh, this is gonna be so easy to, you know, make the other 3 beanies for the gifts. And I was fighting for my life with those 3 beanies and having to make it over and over and over again with that yarn. I just wanted to like, and I made it one more time, and one of my friends reached out to me. I decided that I was gonna knit him a beanie, and then he requested like a sunset type of yarn. Found this indie hand dyer for yarn, Operation Figment. Actually, I probably haven't been really showing, but here you go. Insert photos here. Lovely skein of yarn. I got it in a worsted weight. I only bought 1 skein. Honestly, I feel like I should have bought 2. The hat was a little short, so it was you couldn't really fold it over for him. I think I misjudged that. That was a super fast make. Yarn, Superwash merino, flew off my needles. Wonderful time, and really just solidified that like actually the pattern, freaking favorite. Top 2, top 3, top 3 in spot number 2, actually. Yeah, top 3 in spot number 2. Favorite makes, would make again. I probably will be making this a couple of more times this year for a couple different gifts. And the last one on the knitting category is gonna be the Winterfall mittens by Maymade Knits. She also has another version of it. Yeah, they're called the snowball mitt. Requires feltable yarn, which I did not have filtable yarn. I had gotten Superwash yarn. This one actually is from the Cozy Pea Yarns. I actually just discovered her in like the last month or so. Like she does drops every Sunday for limited edition hand-dyed yarns. This was in December, and this was like the alphaba. My inspiration was lizard. And I do now have lizard hands with this. I have not really worn it since Christmas because it's not been that cold, and honestly I haven't gone out a lot, and also it hasn't really been cold enough to like really use gloves, but I'm sure I'll be using them next year, this December at some point. Would I make it again? 100%. It was such a fun make. It was so fun to see it kind of come all together. I'm trying to get my friend to give me a picture of her hand so I can make her another set, because this took so little yarn. I think I only really used maybe about half a skein. I had bought 2 skeins and I was worried that I wasn't gonna have enough, but like I really, it was such an easy make that I only used like half a skein for both hands. So now I have like a full skein left and then some. Top 3. I will readjust my scale here if none of the things that I said match. What I did learn was how to do the magic loop technique properly. Actually, I was not doing it right this whole time, so I learned how to do it properly because I did not have I did not have DPNs, and 2, I didn't have DPNs, I think at this time, small enough to work it out. Actually very happy about that. Last thing, I didn't think I had a category for this, but now that I just reminded myself, I have finished 1 crochet project as of 2025. My sweater for my mother-in-law. She had requested one after I had made one in 2024. I started it in 2024 with the idea that I was going to give it to her for Christmas, and then I didn't, and then I missed Mother's Day, so she got it for, I believe, was her birthday. I used the Hobbii Carnival yarn in that pink and white and black, and then it was a hexagon cardigan, the neckline and the ribbing at the cuffs. I used Hobbie's Amigo for that, and then I just went around. Super easy make. Probably would do again, but you know, I've actually like really fallen into knitting, so I don't know how much crochet projects that I'm gonna do in 2026. But if you want to see more of my makes here and follow me on all of my journeys through all of my makes in 2026, why don't you go ahead and give me a follow.